Okay, I think we can start. We've given enough time, and I'll keep my eye on the waiting room and admit people as they're coming. So just a formal welcome to all of you from my side. I'm thrilled that you've all joined us tonight to share a little bit about the school's transformation journey. And I want to start by just giving us a little bit of background. Firstly, to answer the question, why are we here? Why are we having this meeting tonight? And then to recap a little bit about the journey that we've been on for the last number of months, which has been a fascinating journey, sometimes a bit rough, but I think we really feel confident that we are journeying in the right direction. So the first thing why are we here tonight is the following. We were very productive and engaged last year, through most of last year, and still are every single day at school, on our quest to really sincerely ensure that our school is a place that is called home by everyone who works here and who learns here. And we really have one requirement for that. And that is that we subscribe to the same core values that we stand for. And those core values we draw from our Christian ethos. And those core values that we draw on are actually also values that are held dear by most faiths and religions in the world. And they really come down to this one rule, or this one fundamental value, which says we treat other people in the way we want to be treated. And I think it's just beautiful, and it is just so profound. And through all my career as an educator, I think if I really have to summarize what I think I'm busy doing, and then it's really teaching that, or trying to teach that, and hopefully most of the time trying to set that as an example. And what I've found in my discussions with parents from across the board over the last year or so, whatever their worldview or their political views are, what I've found is that set of core values unite all of us. And it's the one thing that parents are comforted by throughout all the discussions that I've had with them, is the assurance that we take seriously our core values, and that they should guide us. So we are here tonight because we felt that we've done a lot of work over the last number of months. Obviously, a lot of the work happens, and most of the work should happen right here at school. It's about the lived experiences of our own girls while they are here, your daughters. And for us, it's very important that they feel that they are at home here and that they can learn, because they came here to learn and to grow and to flourish. So that is the work that happens every day here, and a little bit later, Nozuko and Nombolelo will share with you more about that work that they do here every day. So we've been working very deliberately with the girls. We have engaged with the old girls, and you will remember, those of you who followed the activities at the school will know that we've had a very, very how can I call it, intense encounter with our old girls in the beginning of last year, middle last year. And that journey is also kept going, and we've been keeping engaged with our old girls, and I'll tell you a little bit later about what that looks like. The council have been involved in our journey, the staff obviously, very much so. And the one stakeholder, the cohort that we haven't included explicitly on a sort of a daily basis are the parents, because you entrust our children to us, and those are the ones we look after primarily. Those are the ones we look to educate. We are not looking to educate parents. We are looking to partner with parents. But we have sent you reports on how the work has gone. Now and again, there's been a letter from me, and if you paid attention to all of that, you should be fairly on board with what's happening here. And hopefully you've also had discussions with your daughters on the way, because we certainly sent them home saying to them, talk to your parents. But it's appropriate that we speak to parents directly as well and bring them into the fold. So if you've been a good student, then you're going to hear a lot of what you know already. But it's also tonight, so it's about reporting back, explaining to you what we've been doing, what the sort of philosophy is behind everything, and where we are right now and where we think we are going. And I hope that what we will achieve is to reassure you as parents that the transformation work that we are doing is firstly necessary and is undertaken in a very responsible way, with the objective that all of us have for our institution, and that is to sustain DSG as the wonderful world-class school that it is. And that you will maybe walk away with a bit more clarity also on things and have the opportunity to ask questions. So I'm going to start by just introducing you to those people who are here tonight representing the school and the council in their capacity as people who work with transformation. Then I'm going to just recap a little bit on the work that we've done last year up to now. And I'm going to then ask Nombolelo and Nozuko to take you through and share with you a little bit about the insights of what is happening at school right now. What's the work that they're doing right now? What is the philosophy? What are they aiming to achieve? And what your daughters are experiencing here. And to contextualize that, and then we'll give you a chance to maybe ask some questions as well. So just before I start, we have on the call tonight Nozuko Kondra, and Nozuko has recently been appointed as Deputy Head of DSG, and her portfolio is pastoral care at the school. Now, that's the only thing recent about Nozuko and DSG. Everything else has come over a decade, and she's a household name here, and I think there's probably no one here on the school who doesn't know who Nozuko is, but she is here wearing a hat as Deputy Head, and under her pastoral care portfolio, she is responsible for leading our boarding in the broadest sense of the word. So all the house directors report to her. She also looks after the discipline in the school, the community engagement, and then a big part of what she does for us as well is she oversees the transformation process that's happening at the school. But it's a massive portfolio. So with her is working Nombolelo Gonga. And Nombolelo joined us also at the beginning of the year. She's an old girl of the school, matriculated in 2011, and has had a very distinctive career after that. She's really excelled academically. She's done very well, eventually attaining a master's degree. And Nombolelo must help me. Was that in industrial psychology, your master's?
Sorry. Industrial sociology. Thank you.
Industrial sociology. And Nombolelo went on to work for some corporates in the big smoke, and she's come all the way back to come and help us with our work around diversity and transformation. And she really gets the school. She was she's an old girl. She came through the ranks, and it's just a pleasure to see her work with the girls every day because she just gets it, and she gets the teachers as well. Then Vuyokazi Dwane is with us as well, and Vuyo is a member of council, and many of you would have seen her on other calls at other stages. Vuyo has been on the council for a number of years now, and she's heading up the council committee for transformation. So Vuyo is also here to chip in at any time this evening to help me tell the story, to help us tell the story. So thank you for you being here. So let me summarize. The journey over the last year or so at DSG is actually rooted in a journey that started much earlier. The school has always strived to make this school a place that is a home for every girl. But it's really been pushed, and big questions have been asked in the time of Fees Must Fall in around about 2015 and so. So if you look at the minutes of executive meetings and council meetings and the record of how the school was run, there was really a gear shift around about that time in 2015. where DSG responded to what they have heard from old girls and from our greater community. And really wonderful work had been done between then and the beginning of last year, where some structures had been put in place and a number of resources, among others. There was a big job done to put together a community agreement document, which is basically a document that says when we talk about difficult things, we are going to do it in a respectful way. I think that's the shortest definition of what the community agreement is all about. Now, the powerful thing about the community agreement is that it's a document that was put together by the entire community, by all stakeholders. So it was a long process where students, old girls, parents, and staff were pulled together to decide what should be in that document. And it's a fascinating document, which really lays out how we do things around here, especially when we have to talk about things that we don't agree about. The other wonderful tool that came out of that process is the policy that we have for racial and other forms of discrimination. And it's really a policy that describes a process that's supposed to happen between the moment when someone gets hurt because of a form or an alleged or suspected form of discrimination and a disciplinary process having to start. There's a space in between there where there's always an opportunity for restorative justice, for a restorative process where relationships could be mended. So that policy always looks at, it makes it easy to report an incident where someone feels that they've been treated badly, because it's not immediately a disciplinary issue. And it then follows a very well thought through process to eventually ideally end in a reconciliation situation where relationships are mended. And that is something very unique to our school, which I'm very proud of. And we are using both these documents regularly. There were also some structures put in place. The school pulled together a transformation committee of people who are volunteers who said they will be willing to work to start finding the way forward so that we can look at ourselves and decide how the school should keep transforming and changing. So when I started my journey in 2020, that's what I found. And I must say, coming from where I came, I thought, sure, some progress had been made here. I'm not going to go through all the stuff that happened in 2020 on the whole globe, but we know that, again, we were faced with a real sort of situation where we had to look back and reflect on how accommodating and how welcoming are we as a school. So we engaged old girls, we listened to them. It was very difficult to listen to them, and that whole process was quite unsettling. But we knew where we were going with it. We needed to push through that, and we needed to listen before we could put down structures that could guide us more clearly going into the future. And this is where I want to start reporting back on what we've done in the meantime. So a couple of things have happened. We have officially formed a committee on the council dedicated to transformation work, which is a good thing because it means that we're working in a structured way and not just responsively, but proactively. So at that high level, we have prioritized that, and Vuyo is the chair of that. We have formed an executive transformation committee, which is basically taking the old volunteer transformation committee, and we changed them to be the very people who are actually sitting on the school's executive. So that is me, all the deputies, all the directors, the sports director, the cultural director, and the 12 people who sit on the exec and who meet every second week. So those people form the transformation committee now. And the reason for it is because those are the people in the school who are decision makers, who have agency. And if they understand the agenda that we have, they can action what we need to do. We have always had a committee for girls, the portfolio for transformation, and there are 4 prefects sitting on that, the head girl and the deputy head girl, and I think actually 3 others. We also then went to the old girls and we said, we can't keep on meeting with 300 old girls and do it in an unstructured way. And they agreed with us. And the old girls then elected a committee of 12 old girls who are now fondly called the OG tag, but it stands for the Old Girl Transformation Advisory Group. And it was really an attempt to tidy that up so that we are speaking to representatives of the old girls in a structured and constructive way. So with that group, 4 people in that group of 12 meet with us twice a term, and they really are in dialogue with us. So they are not prescribing to the school what to do. They have no decision-making power, but we take them seriously and we listen to what they are saying. And they are people who are very skilled because they've been elected by the other 300 girls who joined the process from the beginning. And they've been giving us really good advice and have been a very good soundboard for us so far in the work that we've done. We've also decided to appoint an independent consultant, which is just someone who could be, or an organization who could be a sort of a mentor for us as we plot our strategy going forward. We are serious about doing this right, but we want to draw on an expert in the field who can say to us, watch out for this pitfall, don't make this mistake all over again, and to just guide us through that, and especially to help us with setting a strategy that will eventually be the strategy pushed by the council, and helping us saying, how are we going to send our institution into a direction in the next 5 years or so. They're also going to help us to look at our school and do an audit of where we are and advise us on what we will call the sort of curriculum around transformation that we would like to know that every girl knows who goes through our school. And all these things that I've said now, it's very boring, I know. It's really to go from where we were last year in March, April, May, in a very turbulent storm and in a crisis. We wanted to go to a place where we are busy doing this work every day in a structured, planned way, in a transparent way, so that we are not needing to wait for the next storm to happen, and we can do our work with integrity and be really responsible with our precious school, where we do work that will make everybody feel safe because they know it's predictable and what we are trying to achieve here. And we take our advice and we go forward in a responsible way. That's not putting our institution at any risk. But in the end, it's about the daily life of our girls. And because we have one objective, and that is that every girl must go in and fearlessly do school without any worries about any sort of discrimination that might be there against it. And when I walk the school grounds every day, I see hundreds of girls who are ecstatically happy. So the DSG is in a good place in that sense, but we are working all the time to keep people educated and informed and up to date. So there are 2 layers in which I see the work happening. The one layer is the institutional layer. So it's answering the question, where is the school going as an institution, and what will the school look like in 5 years' time or in 10 years' time, and so on. So that process of decisions around how do we structure the institution is really the responsibility that sits with the council and the school leadership with council. And that is a process that's very carefully managed because we are very aware of our whole spectrum of parents, and we don't want to exclude anyone. The other layer is the day-to-day work that is done with our girls, and that's very exciting. And I'm going to ask Nombolelo and Nozuko to tell you more about that. Nozuko and Nombolelo took over the work from Kim Barker, who had been doing the transformation work and leading it up for a number of years, and really has done an exceptional job. But it is just the most wonderful thing to have these two, this new team on the block. I always say Nombulelo and Nozuko is like battery and torch. They're an amazing combination. They understand girls in ways that I could never even dream to understand them. They understand parents in a special way, and they have such trust with our school community. And it's been really a pleasure to watch them enter this space and taking further the work, because there are some things that they needed to take charge of and really difficult work that they needed to enter in. And in other ways, they've taken amazing initiative. So I've asked them to share with you tonight a little bit about their journey so far since they've been in office. And they really stepped into this from January, but I'm looking at them every day working, and I think, sure, it looks like they've been doing this for 100 years. So Nozuko and Nombulelo, will you please take over from me? I'm sure people are really fed up with my voice by now. And Vuyo and I will listen to them, and we might chip in here and there. They gave us permission to do that. I even gave them permission to chip into my yapping, but they haven't done that yet. So over to you.
Cool. Thanks, Yanni. So I just want to start by talking about the transformation approach. So we thought just to give an overview of what we've been doing, maybe it's important to highlight what our approach constantly is everywhere we go. So we as the school and the team are really passionate about education and taking an approach that is going to build a foundation for DSG in the long run. So part of that has really been taking our girls through an education journey, and it's only just started. And we want them to be educated in both ways. So we want them to be educated in how to treat each other within issues of transformation. So those people who are getting it wrong, we also want them to be really educated. So should someone make a mistake, the first point of call, even in our transformation policy, is that we pull them aside and have a session with them about and educate them about what has just happened, what the mistake was about, how can we go on from here? Because I think the idea is that we don't want to have a system where the mistakes are repeated over and over again. So there is an element of education. But that element is also twofold, because it also speaks to how we as a community speak to each other and treat each other even when mistakes have been made. So when the kids speak to each other or someone has done something, how do they approach each other? So we've had to take some of the girls through certain things. Mrs. Conj will go through that, but we really are looking into a sustainable approach even for the teachers. So for the teachers, we're going through transformation as an education as well. So not just workshops, but also having space where we hear the teachers and understand maybe what the disconnect between teacher and learner is, and educate them both on a level that speaks to each other. So if we've spoken to the girls about something, we probably are going to speak to the teachers about it, or it's going to start with the teachers, so that when the girls are at school in class, whatever is happening there between themselves can almost be intervened by the teacher in a way that is constructive. So we want our teachers to be empowered enough to be able to resolve issues, to advise where needed, and to also be a shoulder of trust where needed. And not ending with that, we also took this approach into the house staff, SAN, and maintenance staff as well. And with them, it's also twofold, because it's about how they work with each other as staff, including teachers, but also how they work with the girls, because it's also about how we work with each other as adults, because transformation is not just about the girls, and educating each other on that and making sure that things are not repeated. So I think in the long run, we want to be able to say, we don't want to be here again as DSG. In 20 years' time, we don't want another forum on Black Lives Matter where things just seem to not have progressed. And we're thinking the transformation educational approach is going to be sustainable. I'll hand over to Mrs. Conj.
I am going to start with grade 8s breaking down what we were doing with each and every grade. We felt that we need to touch base with each and every grade, and it was the usual workshop that the school always have with grade 8s, also just to assess where they are and take out what really needed there. I would say I was pleased to see our junior school girls being the ones that will ask challenging questions and also interact more when it comes to talking about transformation. Also, girls that are new coming from other schools, but you can easily see that it's few. We could pick up that we really need to work with them. 2 weeks after that, it was not even 2 weeks, a week after that, there was an incident that happened with grade 8s around N-word, and we had to go to Mañano House and talk to the girls. It was more about educating them on, I always say, you can't take an adult responsibility because you are still young. And it means that there would be steps that you are going to skip. You will do things your own way. So we had to make them understand that when a situation happens, you need to report it. There are certain channels on how to do it. And we made sure that they understand it. Listening to Jane Jarvis, that is always with the girls, she feels like now things have started to turn around, and also in the house relationships now are much better. Also touching on grade 8s, I feel like they also, they have a way of standing up for themselves also amongst the boys, because there was an incident and they could say, no, that's, they can see when something is wrong, when something wrong is happening. So it was really a good thing to see that. Same thing happened with grade 9s. Mostly it's also around the N-word, and it's still not sure which one to use, which one not to use. And we had a session with them and also go the educational way with them so that they can also understand what to say when and the channels of reporting. Grade 10s, with grade 10s, it was really a cruise because they just felt like they don't have any problems and everything is fine, but we are watching them. We'll see if really everything is fine, because sometimes you start to see others feeling like they can come. We also opened a situation, a platform where they can come to us, or they can also speak to prefects, and also use the app that we are using so that if they want to stay anonymous. With the grade 11s, we had a tough session with them where we had to unpack on what to do and what you are not supposed, what to say or what not to say. And also it was more social media things that they were sending out. And the first session, we thought it was much better because people were just talking about it. We had to talk about the misunderstanding, and people have to understand that you've done something wrong. And with the second session, it was going back because we could pick up while talking to them what are the problems that were there or what went wrong. And we had a second session with them, trying to tell girls that you can't be, you can't play someone, you can't reprimand someone. And also there is this culture that if you've done something wrong, no one wants to be with your friend anymore. And so we tried to make sure that there would be mistakes that will happen, and emphasize that we are going the educational way. Things are much better because they also had the third session with Miss Msomi, and they also have a space there. It's a grade that we feel like there is a need talk to them a lot. Metrics, I feel like they are in a mature state now, and they feel like they can solve things within them, and they have a better way of solving things, because last year they had sessions with Miss Msomi, and now they have a better vocab on how to tackle things, and they know the channels. If there is something that is happening within them, they report situations. So we are really pleased that at least now with our girls, we are safe. We had, Norm has already said that we had a situation with the SEN. I just want to, we had talks with each and every people that are working here at DSG. And our aim on touching each and every one is to make sure that we are on the same space, as in we know what we are supposed to do. Because our girls do go to the SEN, our girls are interacting with people, finance or clothing exchange. So we had the sessions with all the stakeholders that are here at DSG. The only department that we still need to talk to them is IT. They are really busy, but we've decided that at least, even if it's after hours, because we still have girls going there, we still have staff that will be going there. So we need to know that they understand what we stand for and what we are pushing for. Because at the end of the day, we want that each and every person that claims that she or he belongs here at DSG must feel comfortable that we have a better way of tackling issues. Anything that you want to add?
I would like to just expand on what Mrs. Korn just said with sessions for, I guess, the adults in the school. So we've, as she said, we've had intentional sessions with teachers. We've spoken, I think the very first session was a teacher session about how teachers have received or I guess what they think of transformation so far. But also we got a good input there on how teachers feel about their interactions with the girls, and we've gotten the feedback. And as a result of that, we've also gone back to teachers to say, some of the feedback was really around the fear of doing things wrong, or maybe fear on pronouncing certain words wrong or certain African names wrong. And we thought, let's also start there and have a session where one of the isiXhosa teachers gave a very good outline on what it is that you look for in an African name. How do you go about pronouncing an African name, even if you've never actually encountered it before? So if it was an isiXhosa name, what do you do? And I think by that, we really are trying to bring our teachers to a point where they're as empowered as the girls, but also if the girls are uncomfortable with something, so if you are not pronouncing our names correctly, they know and can trust that we are going to go back to the staff and say, this is how you do it. Because we don't want the staff to feel like, we're not doing anything with them, but then when it comes to, things going wrong, they're the first people to be called in and say, that's not working out, can we do something about it? So it's been important to also have that educational perspective so that staff know that we are there to support them just like we are there to support the girls. Because then a healthy classroom for them is also a healthier environment for the girls. And I think it's just the mandate of creating that safe space. And as Mrs. Konja said, then all those sessions have gone through all the way around. We've had a session with the junior school. Similar themes came from that, and we're going to be working with the junior school further. And it's been really great to start with staff and the girls on the same platform, because now we already have feedback and an understanding of what needs to happen on different spaces with the girls. I think the important thing to take away from that is we're working with staff really so that there is no gap. if we're working with the girls and there's issues with the girls, staff members at all different platforms, different levels, need to be empowered to some level to be able to create a safer space for our girls going on forward. So, you know, some of the chats we've had is when something is unkind happening in front of you, even if it's racial and you don't know anything about the racial things, maybe as a staff, where you feel like you're not empowered, how do you pick it up? And how do you make an environment safer for the girls in that moment, so that it's not a situation where girls feel like things have happened, but there were staff members there? Because the staff member, as a grown up, is seen to be the person who should say no, who should protect, and who should create a safe space. So I think that's the intention there, and we thought to bring that as well.
On the
when you refer to the N word, is that the same as the K word? So yes, I guess in the South African context, yes. So the N word in the American context that you'll also sometimes hear in music and the film industry, or the word that was used in the racial segregation, which just basically meant less than or objectifying people of color, is the same as the K word. And with the policies that we've spoken about, and so we are working with girls in understanding what their views are, because it's something that makes them really unhappy. So we often sit down with them and as Mrs. Konja said, with the grade 9s, we could see that there was a lot of confusion where some girls feel like, no, certain people can say this word, other people cannot say this word. And part of our education is really bridging that gap in saying, if you're saying certain people can say it, really, are we maybe dealing with the right of saying the word or the impact of the word itself? So does it matter if a person of color says the word because they feel like they've got the right to and they're owning it, if the impact is still the same to another person of color? So if other people are getting hurt by the word, is it worth it? So we are having those discussions extensively, but with teachers, taking from the girls as well. We're going to teachers such as the English department and the history department in combination with the transformation office from St. Andrews. And we're saying, let's come up with a guideline. Every teacher that is going to teach a set work needs to feel safe in knowing that this is the policy, this is what I can do, these are the words that I can say. And I think mostly teachers do know what words to say and what words to not say. But I think often what becomes the case is that when they're teaching and a word comes up, sometimes it's in the discussion in the classroom where girls want clarity on who can say it, and the discussion or the question is posed directly on the teacher. So the teachers are often put on the spot, especially within the curriculum. And this is not even books that are not written, by African people. I think specifically in the English department, there's been a really intentional, drive to bringing in African writers so that there's a mixture in the curriculum, which is really great. But some of those African writers, when they reflect on history, touch on the K word, touch on the N word. And I think really the discussion and the guides that we're trying to formulate as the school is to understand what is too much for a classroom, how do we protect the teacher, how do we protect the student, and how do we create trust? And that is something that we're working on, especially with regards to, racial slurs in general. I think from outside, is there something else? I think we should also speak about our vision.
Black History Month events.
Oh, okay. So we've had a few events so far. I think if you are on our social media pages, you would have seen a lot of stuff happening around Black History Month. So with Black History Month, I think that was a very big event for the transformation space. And Black History Month, the intention from the girls was that they really wanted to have a variation of things to do so that no one felt like they couldn't take part. So part of things that you would have seen or would have heard is they were selling Black History Month badges that they can wear throughout with their uniform, very good looking small badges, selling of ribbons. And this is a way of raising funds and the funds are still to be decided, but hopefully are going to go to a Black entrepreneurship space within the local community. There were also, they dedicated a day where they could wear CVs and black CVs. But also with that, I think the girls were very intentional about the education of it all. So during roll call, different girls across grades had the task of standing up and talking about Black History Month, what it means to them, who are their heroes, poems, quotes, anything that would bring knowledge to the rest of the group. And it happened in all houses. The library showcasing was very intentional about history and the books that celebrate Black people and celebrate Black lives. The music, so we had music Fridays in the dining halls where there was a girl who really ran a good music program in showcasing our African artists and Black artists. And the girls were also very intentional about making all of this local. So bringing it to Africa, bringing it to South Africa, and to some extent even Makanda, so there's been a whole lot of that. But I think the point and the important thing about it is that all the girls really wanted everyone to have a moment where they could identify. So if you are the musician at the school and you don't feel like buying a badge, that's okay because you've got a platform. If you really like reading and you don't like music and you don't want to buy a badge, there's reading there for you and you can share your thoughts in the common room if you'd like. If you want to say a poem, there's a platform there for you. So we saw that a lot of people took part in that, and that was a really great initiative of unity and also highlighting that being Black and celebrating Blackness doesn't have to mean this one thing. We don't always have to all buy badges, and if you don't buy a badge, it then means you're not part of the group. Further on, we today and yesterday had celebrations for International Women's Day. Yesterday, the boys and the girls collaborated and had a walk the talk, which was also a fundraising event. So they sold ribbons, purple ribbons, which are to signify the day. And also they walked around the field. Very nice ribbons. Yanni showcasing a ribbon there. But they were really intentional. I think they had a very good day walking around the field, talking to each other, listening to music. And they invited one of the local coffee baristas, and we don't have a lot of people of color in the barista industry. So we had one come here and they were really, really happy to have coffee and biscuits throughout the afternoon while walking and literally having a jam session. And I think it was good to just highlight, and they've called their theme, embracing your own femininity. And I think for the boys and the girls, it was an educational moment of what it means to be a woman in this day. And further on, we had a lunchtime assembly today. And after, a little bit after lunch, we went into an assembly and there was a performance. But I think the highlight for me as a woman was a point where the girl and the boy could speak about what it means to be feminine together. So they, the girl would say something and the boy would say something. And it really speaks to the education that we are about, that we will sometimes hear of boys missing it. But in that moment, you can see that there's really an intention by the kids to work together, whether you're a female or a male in the space, to understand what it means to be a woman. And I think that was a really great start. So these are the events that we've had so far with the kids, and they really show the richness of what we're doing. And I think it's important to just share what has happened there. I think that was a success today.
Okay. I think I want to also maybe just share a little bit about the road ahead. I mentioned a bit earlier that one of the structures that we put in place was to appoint an independent consultant, and we went through quite a lengthy process to identify the right partner to partner with us as our coach or as our mentor in this process. And we really wanted to take hands with a professional out there or a professional organization that could give us good advice, so that we didn't have to reinvent the wheel, and we could also avoid making mistakes and work effectively. And so we've eventually concluded that the best people to work with would be Loveland Nwade and Atambile Masola. And yeah, and I see Tessa Turvey is very happy to hear that. And I think those of you who might be aware of the work that's been done out there will know that they are the gold standard, really, especially with work in schools, because we said we don't only want people who are well versed and well educated and equipped in the transformation space, but we want people who really have been working in the school space, because the school space is a different animal, and it's a very exciting one, but it's not the same as the corporate space. Thank heavens. And these two have got a track record. Loveland is just the most incredible human being. I can't stop listening to her, just because she's so practical, so sensible in her approach, and very straightforward. Really, she's an internationally recognized person in this field. And Atta has been working with us before, with both DSG and St. Andrew's College. So we're very thrilled that we are going to be able to bring them on board, and we actually have a meeting with them on Thursday evening to tie the knot finally, and to go forward with them. So that's a big next step for us. And so we are going to keep on doing the work. Vuyo, I don't know whether there's anything that you would like to maybe share at this stage from council side and from your viewpoint. And I don't want to throw you into the river.
That would be under the bus, Yanni.
See, that's what happens when you translate Afrikaans into English in your head and you think you're speaking English.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and good evening, parents, and I see there's some council members and other stakeholders. So yeah, thank you for making the time. Really, I think what for me has been a really important critical success factor in all of this work is the sustainability of it, and that it's not, what is happening now is not a flash in the pan, and I think both Yanni and Nombulelo mentioned that in one way or another when they were speaking. And so one of the ways in which we have considered grounding this work and making it a part of DSG's DNA is to talk about how can we infuse all of these learnings into the curriculum, so that if ever you come across a DSG girl and you want to, that you're able to identify and also experience the competence that she has developed around transformation, diversity and inclusion issues. And I think that's the way that we make it a sustainable culture even. So any DSG girl that you encounter, you are able to experience what it is that they have learned, and in making it a curriculum is that at every stage in the girl's school career, there is a learning that is appropriate to that level that they're at, with that grade, and so it's an ongoing process, and it's not something that happened in 2020 because Black Lives Matter happened and then fizzled out a little bit later. Thank you.
Thank you. We're almost reaching the end of our hour together. So I want to maybe jump to, before we I see that there were a few questions in the chat box. I think we've gone to them. If there's anything else, feel free to type. But of course, the question now is, how can parents be part of this journey? As I said in the beginning, we are not aiming to go to parents and to try and educate you, or to try and change the way you are. You are not our main focus. We are focused on your daughters, but you are our partner. And we are a village together trying to raise these children to be ready for the world that is awaiting them outside there. So we have a long history in all sorts of spheres of engaging with parents and partnering with parents, and that is the strength of our school. Last year at the prize giving, I asked the audience to think of a word, a single word that best describes the essence of DSG. And I had my word ready, and I just wanted people to take a moment to think what they would come up with. Is it pride? Is it values? Is it whatever? And the word I had when I reflected on that was community. And it's really something that we want to keep working on stronger and stronger, because we want to be a community, a real community. And it's not always easy because we are a boarding school. So parents are not right here with us. Sometimes we are a little bit happy about that, but we generally want to work with you. And therefore the question is, how can parents become a part and partner with us in this journey of our transformation work, and of also learning and helping us. And we still need to find that answer. And Maren Roy has stepped forward as a parent a while ago to say, let's think of how we can involve parents, and how they could also become part of either a soundboard for us, or helping us in any way whatsoever. So Maren, thank you for your initiative that you took. And what we want to do is we want to maybe send out a survey of sorts, where we would like to get some feedback from parents, and work out a way forward in which we do include parents in this space. We keep you updated. We keep talking to each other as a very important stakeholder in this whole process. Because sometimes you hear things at home and you are concerned because you're not sure whether you're hearing right. You might have the wrong end of the stick or the right end of the stick, and what you hear might unsettle you, or you might feel very encouraged by what's happening, and you could really add value to what we are busy with. And it would really be wonderful to know that we have a good, sensible, sustainable way to also partner with parents and engage with them regularly. So tonight was an attempt to do that in a very authentic way. But I'm giving you a heads up that there might be something coming your way in the form of a survey or a questionnaire, where we can understand where parents are, what they know, what they don't know, what they would like to know, and how they could and might want to become involved. Someone is asking here, how often will you be giving these feedback sessions? I think that question is a rhetorical question. What I'm hearing you saying is we should have this more regularly. So maybe that's what you're trying to say, and I think it's important. So one definite way to keep parents involved in the process is to talk to each other like this, and to have a discussion and a dialogue going forward. And I think we shouldn't be afraid of that. Again, even when we speak as parents, we can also put that very same community agreement down on the table and say, we are going to talk to each other in a respectful way, so that we are actually creating the capacity to even differ from each other in a respectful way. I think that's the ultimate sort of test for trust in a community. So so we'd love to hear from you. So if you go away from this meeting tonight and you feel that you've got thoughts or questions or whatever, please direct them to Nozuko or Nombulelo. And you can even write to me, but I think they are better. That we will put there. Can you, Nombulelo and Nozuko, can you just type your email addresses into the chat box? But at DSG, it's very simple. The email address is always the first letter of the name. So mine is J. and then the surname, De Villiers, at dsgschool.com. So it's not too difficult to get those email addresses. But yeah, write to us and share with us what you would like to share with us. There they are. I'm trying to see if there's anything else in the comment box here. Thank you. So I'm going to take just 2 minutes. If there's anyone out there who wants to unmute and just say something or ask a question, but we are trying to wrap this up within the hour. I still have to go reintroduce myself to my family because I haven't seen them too much of late. Okay.
Ola, can I say something?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to write a message. I realized it's going to take a long time. So I just want to say really thank you so much, Yanni, and to Makonjwa and to everybody and the team for doing this work and for this session. I think it's awesome work. I love the thoughtfulness that's going into the way you are approaching it and the rigor, and you know that it's end to end, that you kind of, yeah, I really love it. I think I'm so happy that we've sent our daughter there, contributing to really making them strong, kind women of the world, because I think what you're developing is a muscle and a skill that's needed in the world. And yeah, strength to you. And yeah, it's great to have this session. And I mean, I don't know how often, I know you don't want us parents to be too involved, but it's great to again, you know, get to know, hear from you what you are doing, and look forward to the survey or questionnaire. But thank you really all for it's really important work, and it's for the girls and for their future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I think here ends the service. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. And we'll see each other maybe soon again. Thank you so much for attending. Please spread the word and the love. So maybe next time we meet, we'll have 80 people or more. Thank you very much. And thank you, Nozuko, Nomlelo, and Vuyo for your input as well.